In the Middle East, Hamas says it fired a series of rockets at Tel Aviv this morning. There are reports of rocket sirens in central Israel for the first time in months, so immediate reports of casualties or damage. In a moment, we will talk with Congressman Jared Moskowitz and Byron Donalds. But first, we turn to Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith at the White House. He's covering the latest on the 2024 presidential race. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Shannon. This week, President Biden returns to the campaign trail.
Hi, guys. Welcome to XCOM 2 Long War, the Chosen Mod Jam 2024 run.
Former President Trump is making an overt black voters who Biden needs.
Excuse me.
Russia. But here at home, political future remains uncertain. A Quinnipiac University poll finds voters are split, with Biden leading former President Trump by only 1 point, 48 to 57%, well within the margin of error. Saturday night, quoting libertarians. Keep for the Libertarian Party's endorsement, or at least votes. Recent events in New York shows minority vote. Black or brown or white or who you are, it doesn't matter. The campaign says it's determined to hold on to black support. Last week, the president addressed graduates at Morehouse.
The start of college just said George Floyd was murdered. There was a reckoning on race. After the war, democracy here actually works.
Notably, the president's tone was far different from that President Obama's address 11 years earlier.
Your generation is uniquely poised for success unlike any generation of African Americans that came before.
The Biden campaign was also recently dealt a blow after former Ambassador Nikki Haley, a vocal critic of Donald Trump, came out to say she'll support Trump over Biden, who she called his attack. Republicans try to win over Haley's supporters.
Question as well. The issue of the now about pushback on the ICC issue. But it's really
The White House has been quite outspoken about this. The president has called the best warrants for Israeli leaders outrageous, and now the administration is even saying it's open to possibly sanctioning the ICC down the line. Yeah.
Okay, Mark Meredith reporting from the White House. Mark, thank you very much. Joining us now, Florida Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz. Welcome back, Congressman.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I want to start there with the ICC. You've called these warrants. You've done that, and the White House has as well. You heard Mark Meredith there talking about potential sanctions. Now, under the Trump administration, ICC officials were sanctioned. There were visa restrictions on their family members. There was even a counter investigation into alleged corruption. President Biden lifted those. Should he have left them in place?
Well, obviously, look, hindsight 2020, we are where we are today. I'm for putting those sanctions back in place. I'm for Congress acting on a bipartisan basis to go after the ICC. Let's state some facts here. When Assad killed 300,000 civilians using chemical weapons, if you recall, which was a red line for this country, did the ICC go after Assad? No, they didn't, because they said Syria was not a party to the ICC. When people have asked them to look at the human rights violations in China, have they gone after China? No, the ICC has specifically said China is not a party to the ICC. But is Israel a party to the ICC?
Engineer, it's good.
And yet they are now going after Israel. This is totally political. The ICC is irrelevant. They have no jurisdiction. You might as well call them the Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. They're irrelevant because Israel's not a party to their treaty. And so this is pressure, unfortunately, from the international community that wants to see no more Israel. They're using the ICC to go ahead and do that. And I think the United States needs to respond in a strong, bipartisan way, which is why you're seeing Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate and the Biden administration coming together. Hopefully we'll get that done when we get back from break.
Well, there's a lot lot waiting for you, as you know when you come back. But one of the most recent bills, you struggled a little bit with your vote on it, ultimately voting for this bill in the House that would force the White House essentially to hand over all weapons that have been congressionally approved. And by the way, a bill that the president himself signed. You had some concerns with the bill, but the president has talked about withholding certain things from Israel. You ultimately, 16 Democrats, who included among them, decided to vote for that bill. Where do you think there has been some daylight, or are you worried there's someone in your party, maybe even the White House, that is sending confusing or mixed messages, not only to Israel, but to its enemies as well?
Well, the reason I was concerned about that bill is there were issues in there beyond Israel hamstringing potentially all of the administration's future. On this issue, on Israel, my biggest problem is that right now, the reason there's no ceasefire is because of Hamas. Period. Stop right there. Right? There's no other conversation. Why we don't have the hostages out and why we don't have a ceasefire is because Hamas won't agree to one. We need more pressure on Hamas, not less. And anytime there's any daylight between the United States and Israel, Hamas has a reason to not come to the table and agree to a ceasefire. There are also some reports, unfortunately, that Israel had agreed to the terms between the United States and the Qataris, yet the Egyptians might have changed some of the terms in favor of Hamas. So unfortunately, right now, that the ceasefire conversations are an absolute complete mess, but make no mistake about it. The reason why there's a Rafah operation is because Hamas has not agreed to a temporary ceasefire to release the hostages.
So I want to talk about the pier there as well, because U.S. officials, along with many in the international community, are worried about getting aid into the people, the civilians in Gaza. But there's trouble for that pier. The New York Times is already saying that the Pentagon is seeing it as a logistical nightmare. And we're getting word this weekend that 4 ships that have been attached to the pier have become unmoored in bad weather. 2 of them running around on a nearby beach. The New York Times adding this little relief has reached Palestinians in the besieged strip. Several trucks were looted as they made their way to a warehouse. The World Food Program warned on Tuesday that the pier project could fail if Israel did not do more to ensure the safe distribution of the aid. You and I talked about this last time you were on. There are reports that Hamas is threatening people, even threatening to kill people who work with Israel to distribute that aid, and yet the onus is on them to get it done. What more could they be doing to facilitate highways, checkpoints, to make sure it gets to civilians?
Yeah, again, right? It's the same conversation over and over and over. Oh, it's Israel, right? No, none of the problems of getting aid have anything to do with the fact that the UN is having issues getting that aid around because it's an unsecure area because Hamas is attacking the aid. Right? Where's the pressure on Egypt to get aid, more aid through the Rafah crossing? We saw the State Department announce that they're trying to get the Egyptians to get more aid through the Rafah crossing. And so it's always Israel, right? It's Israel. Let's blame Israel. But again, the reason why there isn't humanitarian aid more going around is because it's unsafe, because Hamas is attacking the convoys, because Hamas wants to steal the aid. Make no mistake about it. Hamas doesn't care about the Palestinian people. Right? The leaders of Hamas are worth billions of dollars to pay them the product. No, they stole this money from the Palestinian people and then buried themselves underground while they left all their civilians exposed in a war that Hamas started. Okay, it's no different with this humanitarian aid. Look, Israel's doing what they can, obviously, without putting their soldiers in harm's way to get this aid to the Palestinian people. It's very important that we do that. There are innocent civilians there, women and children.
Large map again.
That we get aid because we have to make sure that we don't have to. But we need the UN and Egypt to do more.
I want to ask you quickly, because you've been critical somewhat of the president's position on the border and some of these foreign policy issues as well. Our recent polling shows, and a lot of Americans agree with you, they give the edge to President Trump on immigration, on the economy, on crime, and on foreign policy. There are tough swing state polls out there for the president this week as well. And Nate Silver, one of the country's top pollsters, says he's still struggling like this by August. He should consider leaving the tickets. Is that a conversation worth having if your goal is to make sure that President Trump does not get back to the White House?
No, it's not a conversation worth having. Nate, thanks for your participation.
Sharpshooter.
But this is ridiculous. We're well past that conversation. President Biden is going to be the nominee. We're going to have our convention, and he's going to win in November. This is going to be between two people, right? It's either really, the way I look at the election is, do you want Trump back or do you not? That is the crux of the issue. I think that's what the American people are going to ask themselves when they go into that ballot. Do they want President Trump back or do they don't want, or they not want him back? And that's going to depend on what's important to each solitary American. are for a woman's right to choose, then you will not be voting for President Trump. If you're for a woman having the rights to contraception, you won't be voting for President Trump. On immigration, quite frankly, I think both parties are to blame on what's going on with immigration, right? Democrats, I've said this before, Democrats were
Put you a shotgun.
when we came to the table and got a bipartisan agreement with a conservative bill coming out of the Senate, then Republicans walked away because Trump wants to use it in the election, right? He said, blame me. And so, at the end of the day, the election is very close. We're kind of at halftime now. We're going to get out of the summer, and all of a sudden it's going to be September, October. As we go into the election, people will look at what's the state of the economy at that moment and how do they feel about their country. But it is a very close election. It's down to a couple of states.
Yeah, right now they're not talking about the economy. We're going to talk about that more on the show, but Congressman, we appreciate your time. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you.
Okay, joining us now, fellow Florida Congressman, Republican Mike McDonald. Welcome back, and let me just start there and give you a chance to respond. He says, if you care about a right to choose, if you care about contraception, which, by the way, President Trump has said he does not want to touch contraception, but all these other, questions and arguments, Congressman Oswald says, if you care about those things, you cannot vote for your party.
Well, first of all, my colleague is something wrong. What Donald Trump did when he was president of the United States, he did change the Supreme Court. They did overturn Roe v. Wade, which was the right decision, but it is now left.
They always come after you.
And so President Trump has been asked this question multiple times. He does not want to weigh in from the federal level. He wants the states to make this decision for themselves because every state is different. Every group of citizens in each state, they have different philosophies. And when it comes to something as personal as abortion, at this point, the president's position is the philosophies of people in the states needs to be what governs, not federal law, definitely not the Supreme Court. Obviously, with contraception, that's just simply not true. President Trump doesn't want to do anything on contraception. He wants to be able to have people. He wants people to be able to take advantage of that and use that in their personal lives.
Okay, we talked about the border a little bit. Congressman Oswald touched on this and said, listen, both parties take blame for not getting something done. There was a bill offered up this week in the Senate. Just about everybody admitted it was kind of a show. It was not going to go anywhere. But it provides this talking point for President Biden saying Russian Republicans do not care about securing the border or fixing America's broken immigration system. He says you would have voted for it if you did. He said they put partisan politics ahead of our country's national security. Now, Republicans and President Trump take control of the White House, House, and Senate. If you guys run the table and all of those things align again, what promises or plans can you offer to the American people about Republicans fixing the border?
Well, a couple of
From reaction fire, eh?
Secured when he was president of the United States. When Joe Biden came in, the
Let's ignore this one.
Was rip up Trump's border policies simply because they were put in place by Donald Trump. It was a very stupid decision by Joe Biden. The country has suffered as a result. So now what we're going to do is go back to ending catch and release, go back to remain in Mexico. We are going to have to deport millions of people who should not be here because our cities and states simply cannot handle the flow of all these illegal migrants. Now you got people who are going, Jordanians trying to breach Quantico under Joe Biden. You saw what happened on the southern border in California the other day when they're trying to scale the wall in California, get over that wall there. So what President Trump is going to do is put back the policies that actually had our country secure. We are going to deport millions of people. It needs to be done. And then in Congress, a policy like H.R. 2 in the House and in the Senate, we're going to
like this.
Parts of that to become federal law, which gives the president
authorities
to secure the nation.
Okay, we will wait and see. Obviously, the results of November have everything to do with those plans. But let's talk about this. President Trump is taking his argument to some non-traditional places this week. You were part of his trip into the Bronx. And he has got, people who love that idea, people who hate that idea, but you were there with him on stage. It reignited a conversation you and I have had previously on this show about race and about critics who say Republicans are using both black and brown people. There is one news personality out there who says you're being used as a prop. Here's the story for you.
The one black guy that Republicans love to roll out as fake proof that black people are blacks. Just MAGA. They're MAGA. It's a joke, and just as credible as when they pretended they were going to make that guy Speaker of the House. So they weren't going to do that either.
Okay, so how do you view that statement? Is it that her own personal beliefs and experiences are such that she cannot fathom that black Americans would find a home in the GOP? Do you think she's making more of a statement about Republicans or about you?
First of all, I find Joy's comments to be nothing more than crabs in a barrel. Just because I have a different viewpoint, different way of looking at the world, different politics, now all of a sudden I'm being used. You can make an argument that MSNBC is using her, but I'm going to move on. The rally in the Bronx was amazing. You had a very diverse crowd, people from the Bronx, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, black people, white people, all there supporting President Trump because they've seen the disaster that is New York City. They've seen the disaster that has come to the United States of America because of the master of disaster, Joe Biden himself, and they want Donald Trump back. I heard what my colleague said in the previous segment. This is going to be a decision. It's going to be a decision for the American people between two presidents who did the better job. And it is without question Donald Trump was a significantly better president on every metric. That's why he had support in the Bronx. That's why when the president went to Minnesota, he had support in Minnesota. And there's more support in a lot of blue areas that is for President Trump coming back. So we're looking at expanding the political map, not shrinking it based upon race or anything else, because that's what Joy Reid and Joe Biden and the rest of them want to do. They want to shrink the political map based upon previous dogma and racial lines. That is not what President Trump's focus is. His focus is on all of America.
Okay, that sounds like someone who could potentially join him on the ticket and be out there campaigning and making that conversation, that argument. So listen, when I first interviewed you, 2021, you were a brand new congressman. Clearly, you had campaigned on a pro-Trump agenda. You were pro-Trump. But as with anybody who's on the VP shortlist, I'd like to ask about the fact that you at some point had not been a huge Trump fan, or you had reservations. You said he was a self-promoter. You were glad that he wasn't running against President Obama years before. But I think it's important if you're on the shortlist to ask where your evolution happens. Especially if you're on the ticket, you're going to be out there trying to make the argument to other people who may be skeptical about President Trump, and they want to know what your evolution on him was.
Time to motor.
Well, actually, I'm glad you're bringing this up. What you're talking about are probably Facebook messages from 2012, 2015. Where yes, I had skepticism. But you had an opportunity to watch the 2016 campaign unfold, see Donald Trump's positions on the campaign trail against Hillary Clinton. Thank God he beat Hillary Clinton. The country was better off for it. And then you watched him do the job. And I will tell you, like myself, like so many Americans, have seen Donald Trump be president, and now they've seen the country without Donald Trump as president, and they want to go back to the years of 2017, 2018, 2019. Our country was significantly better on every metric. Joe Biden and the crazy left will bring up COVID-19, but listen, COVID would have been terrible for any president to get through, and Donald Trump still did a great job getting us through COVID. So I will tell you this, if you look at anybody's thoughts 2015, you probably had some skeptics, no doubt about that. But there is no skepticism when you look at the job he did as commander-in-chief. The world was less safer, no new wars, our economy was better, everybody was getting ahead. It is not the case today.
All right, Congressman McDonald, you folks out there at home have heard both sides of the argument. Congressman, we thank you for yours, and we'll see you again soon. So President Trump's New York criminal trial is coming to an end. Closing argument set to begin Tuesday. The jury can hand down a verdict as early as this week. Our legal panel is here with predictions next. As we take time throughout this Memorial Day weekend in our show to remember the fallen, including a look at the moving World War II memorial. This happens to be my favorite here in Washington.
Getting Shore Max protein with 30 grams of protein. Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max protein, 30 grams protein, 1 gram sugar, 25 ounces of minerals, and a new fiber line with every eye. Who's your favorite judge? Simon.
Nice. Leave it to the shotgun, baby.
Smells heartburn. How do you spell relief? ROLAIDS. Rolaids dual active formula we used to relief.
I'm gonna get you some AP rounds.
Rolaids spells relief.
I'm Richard Carr, and I love my hose. It ain't those old hoses. It's the new pocket hose, copper bullet, infused with real copper.
Stunner.
And it grows to a full-size hose. Turn
I
off
hate the
water,
robots.
and it shrinks back to a pocket-sized hose with layered latex inside and a polymer jacket outside. It's 3 times stronger. Order your pocket hose copper bullet today and get the thumb drive spray nozzle free. Hurry, order now.
This isn't just your normal bike. It folds, it unfolds, and it just goes. You can climb that hill no problem. And if you're looking for speed, you've come to the right place. 28 miles per hour, up to 65 miles of range. And equipped with hydraulic brakes. This is the Electric XP 3.0. Fully foldable, fully assembled, ships free. Simple as that. Go to electricebikes.com. Ride with us. Michael.
Going in for the kill. Roger that. Okay, so I got one.
I guess that'll be okay. Where to go, Overwatch?
The first criminal case against former President Trump appears headed to the jury this week. The state of Steve Avery hearing on Tuesday. The prosecution and defense will make their closing arguments to the 18 jurors. That includes 6 alternates who could be asked to step in. If one of the 12 primary jurors is disqualified or otherwise unable to serve out their commitment following those summations, the judge will give the jury instructions telling them what the law means, how they are to interpret and apply it to respect all these charges against President Trump. In the end, they'll have to decide if the former president falsified business records that payoff. The Stormy Daniels facilitated by the president's one-time fixer and former attorney Michael Cohen, and then falsified those records with the intent to cover up a separate crime. Well, let's bring in Fox News contributor, former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Andy McCarthy, and Trent County, former South Carolina Republican
Whoa.
congressman and host of Sunday Night in America, Trent County, Fox News Channel. Gentlemen,
You guys are the commish.
prosecutors with us to help break this all down.
What's over there?
Okay, so all of us have taken turns attending the trial. We'll be back there this week. I want to read the analysis from a couple of those who I think you can argue lead left. Here's how they see the trial. From the first day of testimony, this is Harry Lippman in the LA Times, the prosecution has presented a tight, persuasive tale. The prosecution's cross-examination of Costello and redirected both Cohen and Daniels were crisp, clear, textbook demolitions of the defense's points. Going into the final act, highlight the chances that he will be found guilty before it's tried. Having closely followed Trump's trial for criminally falsifying business records to deceive voters into making him president, I'm convinced he's guilty as charged and barring jury nullification will be a convicted felon soon after Memorial Day. Andy, as it's played out, the decisions that have been made, the rulings thus far, what do you think?
Well, it's a cogent story.
Nice.
It's not a story that violates the law, but I think, to the extent that those left of center legal commentators are predicting a conviction, they may be right because of the way the case has been pitched to the jury. Now, it's one thing to be here pronouncing on what all of the various legal flaws are, and there's a plethora of them. But you have to try to see the case the way the jury is seeing it. And in this instance, I think the jury is seeing it through the lens of Judge Merchant, who has been very indulgent of the prosecution's dodgy theories here. And
You know, I could sit here and poke holes in them all day, but it doesn't make a difference because we're not in there speaking to the jury.
Yeah, it comes down to that. And what's so important are these jury instructions. It's kind of wonky last week instead of hammering it out. We all know those are critical to put together a case and then go to the jury. Here's what Syracuse law professor Gregory Germain says. Proper jury instructions will identify the separate legal elements of the crime that must be proven for conviction. Improper jury instructions will gloss over the legal issues and make it more likely that a jury who may not like the defendant will convict. So, Trey, what do you make of the back and forth we had over the jury instructions? What exactly did they give the jury by way of making a decision?
Well, I'm in a little bit of a minority here. I've sat through 100 different judges giving jury instructions to the jury, and half the time I didn't know what he or she was talking about. They're incredibly complicated. Lawyers have a hard time following them. I know there are 2 lawyers on this jury, but ordinarily there are no lawyers on the jury. I think what juries usually do is they go with their quote common sense. They go with their intuition. They say, do we think, are we pretty sure this person committed this crime? I will say this to Andy's point. The jury identifies with the judge. I don't want to say it's Stockholm syndrome, but it's a little bit like that because they are at the beck and call of the judge protects them, the judge feeds them. So they looked at this trial through the prism of the judge's eyes. And look, I've had some good prosecution judges in my life here, but I ain't never seen a judge like this. I mean, he essentially walked in and asked the defense, "Are you ready?" And then he looked at the prosecution and said, "Are you ready?" I mean, that's
Shit.
committees, and that's what I felt like. He was a member of the prosecution team.
Well, Politico says this. To find Trump guilty of felony level falsification of business documents, the jury must unanimously find that Trump falsified the documents in order to commit or conceal a separate crime. But the jurors do not have to agree on what that separate crime was, according to the way the judge ruled. So, Andy, I'm not sure that I fully understood an articulation of the prosecution about what that underlying crime is.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. You know, your question before, Shannon, about the jury instructions, you know, I agree with Trey that, you know, very often they're very dense to follow, but usually it's not a problem because by the time you get to the end of the case, everybody knows what has to be proved and what the jury's going to be told. Here, we finally get something in the way of telling us exactly what the charge is at the end of the case. Really still don't have
Well, that was a miss.
jury instructions, but the notion that the jury can convict by agreeing to various items on a menu, and they don't have to be unanimous about what that last item is, which we think is some variation of federal campaign finance violation, which, by the way, Frank doesn't have authority to enforce. But I think the notion that they don't have to be unanimous on that is, you know, that may be the 12th reason why this case should be thrown out.
And Trey, quickly, if they aren't unanimous, if there's a holdout or two, the judge send them back. What is an Allen charge? Do you think that may come into play here?
It's essentially go back and I'm going to keep you held hostage until you reach a verdict. They're actually frowned upon, but now we have what's called a modified Allen charge. But look, nobody wants to spend weeks and months and get a hung jury. So the judge is going to say, go back and reconsider your position. But I haven't seen Allen charges work that often. And my prediction is a hung jury. For some of the reasons Andy laid out, I still don't know what that other crime is. So how can you defend yourself if you don't know what the other crime is?
Well, it will soon be in the hands of the jury. Andy has 2 really interesting pieces diving in and breaking into the minutia of this case out this weekend. Very interesting. And Trey, we'll see you tonight. Thank you both.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, up next, last night, former President Trump reported potential voters at the Libertarian convention. He wants to persuade them to support him in November, but some of them appeared unconvinced. We'll bring our panel on Trump's forays into non-traditional settings this week. But first, right now, at the Pentagon, thousands of motorcyclists are assembling to remember America's military heroes, particularly those missing in action or prisoners of war. Rolling to remember soon on the streets of D.C. on this Memorial Day weekend.
Here's to getting better things.
Here's to these 2 every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need without the stuff you don't. So, Boost today. Boost! After Advil. Let's dive in.
What about your back?
It's fun!
Before Advil.
Roger that.
Advil dual action fights pain 2 ways. Advil targets pain at the source. See the benefit blocks pain center.
I'm going.
Advil dual action.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today. Oh, that's great.
What position did you play?
First base. That's what my grandpa used to play. In our hearing, it wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone.
Fucking misclicks, I hate them.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Captions service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
Give your loved ones the independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you. Call 1-800-979-0270. That's 1-800-979-0270.
Is your shower trying to tell you something? Getting in and out of the bathtub becoming a safety concern? Are you worried about the cost of a bathroom remodel that can go on for weeks and weeks? Well, now you can have a gorgeous new bathroom shower that's safer at a price you can afford with a one-day jacuzzi bathroom remodel. Done in the same day. You did not have to wait. It is great.
I would give this whole experience an A+. I definitely wish I would have gone to.
From soft plug shower doors and adjustable shower heads, features like grab bars and custom seats that combine safety and style. It's never been easier. Get your pre-designed consultation, schedule your one-day installation, and start loving your new bathroom shower right away.
Only weeks left to get waived installation and no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Go to GetBathRemodel.com or call 800-991-2603. That's 800-991-2603. Call now.
On the very first day that we take back the White House, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Let's back up all the presidents, all the progress we made.
President Biden and former President Trump offering contrasting visions on the campaign trail. I'm out of our Sunday group, Axios political reporter Steph Knight. Molly Hemingway, Federalist editor-in-chief, former Obama campaign foreign policy advisor Nathan Bird, and Howie Burns, media critic and host of Media Buzz on the Fox News channel. Good to see you all on a fantastic weekend. Thank you for coming in. I want to start with you. President Trump is getting a lot of attention for going into some non-traditional spaces, not only the Bronx, but the Libertarian Convention. You guys saw there was a little bit of an undercurrent of not full agreement. I would say flat out booing, but definitely some backlash to some of the things he said. How is this playing? His willingness to go into these spaces?
So, look, the mere fact that he went there, he's not going to win, so he's not going to win this game, but he sends a message, a symbol of urban decay in South Bronx, that he cares about the problems of minority voters. And it was a curveball. It surprised a lot of people. And he mostly told stories about projects, but he said he was going to try to rebuild New York City. So it sent a powerful signal. I was shattered by the contrast with President Biden's Morehouse College speech, which kind of played on the politics of victimhood. The president said that, what is democracy if black men are killed on the street? What is democracy if you have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot? This is the guy who served under the nation's first black president.
Yeah, and the New York Post had an editorial board piece that really touched on that in analysis there too. They said Biden's speech at Morehouse College.
Oh, that was a droid. Interesting.
America has been and always will be a racist nation. Trump is pitching opportunity, a better life. People don't just want to live here what's wrong. They want to know how you're going to improve their lives. The Trump camp says that's what he wants.
Yeah, it was really striking to compare these two speeches that happen to be during the same week. And it really does explain why President Trump is getting so much more of the black vote and brown vote than other Republicans are. His message is one of opportunity, focusing on economic opportunity, and talking about how, no matter what your skin color is, this is a great country. And we saw with President Biden, that was a very dark, divisive, racial grievance speech. It was kind of surprising how dark it was. And I'm not sure, it has worked very well for Democrats to play up racial grievances in the past, but I'm not sure how well that'll work compared to what Trump is selling.
Well, and what we heard from people in the Bronx in the spot that President Trump went to, census shows 65% Hispanic and probably about 31% of Black residents in that area. But what we heard from a lot of them is they are concerned about what everybody's concerned about, the economy, providing for their kids, a future, all of those things. The economy is one place that the polling continues to be really tough for President Biden. But the New York Times tells us, Paul Krugman, that the economy isn't actually bad. In fact, it's in remarkably good shape, yet somehow there's a pervasive sense that the economy is bad. In that sense, not economic reality or even personal experience is what's hurting Biden's campaign. So how do they feel about it in the White House? Because I don't want to he doesn't get credit for the good things that happen.
I mean, certainly Biden and his advisors are frustrated by the fact that they feel like they've seen the economy starting to improve, but they're starting to see some of these numbers. They point to job growth. They see inflation as improving. It's not as bad as it was a couple of years ago, and they want to get more credit for that. The reality is, when it comes to inflation is the biggest where people feel like they are spending more than they used to, and that's really a huge issue for Biden. Something that he's trying to overcome because you look at fast food prices, for example. Axios has covered this, and that's a huge issue for Biden when it comes to working class Americans. They feel like their money is not going as far as Biden, and when it comes to they don't care as much about big economic macro trends. They care about making to buy fast food for their kids, go out on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, that's true. So here's the headline from Fox Business: 50% of Americans now consider
Excellent.
Fox News poll that says,
Okay, let's save this.
So this gets to the question whether there's a perception the country's having trouble versus you are actually having trouble.
And we'll see you guys next time. All right, peace out.
And this poll said that it is a problem for them, followed by gas prices, 84%. And David, you can go through the whole list there. We can talk more policy. That's your specialty. But you know when people go to vote, somebody once said it's the economy, stupid.
That's right. I agree with Paul Krugman.